we are going to talk about addiction. Dr. Juda Alcabes, in all seriousness, is an expert in this field. He did his doctoral dissertation on pornography addiction. Oh, my sister said she wants to know where your wig is.
Oh yeah,
Haha.
right. I was told not to bring it. I
Who told you not to? Okay, you know what? Focus, focus. We only have till 3:55. Okay, I have other things to do.
I don't.
Poor guy. You just healed the world.
Healed
Okay,
everyone.
so Dr. Juda Alcabes has done
Yes.
his doctoral dissertation in pornography addiction, not sex addiction, right? It's very specifically pornography
Specifically
addiction,
pornography addiction. Yeah.
right?
Specifically therapists in pornography addiction, but yes, like therapists, how they deal with it when it's uncomfortable for them.
Okay, there we go. Fine. I'm like therapists, and that's a pretty niche niche
Yes, it
market,
is.
finding therapists that struggle with sex addiction. That's not what you meant. Okay, so I get, as we all know, I get a tremendous amount of questions regarding this. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, consider myself an expert in this a part of sex, and that's why I refer everyone to Judah because he's the best. Okay, so you're welcome. It'll be the only compliment you will receive this whole time. I'm joking. Um, so tell me, Judah,
Yeah.
what does sex addiction or pornography addiction, not obviously, people might not know, there are actual criteria for this. It's not
Yes.
the type of thing where if you catch your husband masturbating to porn, that makes him an addict.
Right.
So I would like if you could just clarify this for the clowl in a way that they can understand, not necessarily this so sciency, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
explain what addiction in this context means.
Yeah. And I want to do this part relatively quickly because people spend too much time debating what is an addiction and when does it count as an
Right.
addiction, right? So I want to do this relatively quickly because there are important parts of this that can be helpful as you're conceptualizing your own situation. But then to get stuck in the weeds of like, how do we define it? Is it an addiction? Is it a neurological disorder? Is it this? Is it that? Like, that
Well, no,
doesn't
I'm
help.
only asking you because I find, I'm sure you find this also, that people will classify their partner, whether a man or a woman,
Yes.
if they want more sexual frequency, they must be an addict,
Yes.
which is not the case.
Right. And we did talk about that on our last live a little bit. And I look, like I said then, frequency is not indicator of addiction. The
Okay.
indicator of addiction is there's three indicators, really, really simple and quickly, is inability to stop despite the negative consequences. That's number one, right? So if somebody, let's take alcohol addiction, right? If somebody is drinking every day and then their doctor says, if you drink any more alcohol, then your liver is going to shut down, and they continue to drink, right? That's an extreme situation. There's negative consequences, and then there's not stopping, right? There's dependence, which in substances is physical and or psychological, right? In sex and porn addiction, less on the physical side, but still some there. You could argue whatever, but psychologically, right? So you depend on it to provide something for you, right? So
Mm.
anything that we become accustomed to giving us a certain result, even if there are negative consequences, we become dependent on it, right? So if you are used to your Starbucks that you go to on the way to work every single day, and that you go on the drive-through and you get your vanilla whatever, there we go. Okay. Right.
No
If that
judgment.
wasn't there, then it would be disrupting, right? If that Starbucks shut down or whatever, right? So you depend on it. Now, depending on something isn't inherently a bad thing, but then go back to number one, inability to stop despite the negative consequences, right? And then the
Well,
last one, which is
what if negative consequences are just my wife doesn't like it or my
right. So
husband doesn't like it by the
we're
way
going to
it
have
sounds
to talk
behind
about
you?
that. Right. We're going to have to define what negative consequences are. And that's actually the one that I want to focus in on more than the other
Well,
ones.
that's the
But
one I think that is
yeah,
what people struggle with.
yeah. The last one of the three in the basic definition of addiction would be that it progresses, right? So I always use coffee as an example. I would say most people would consider themselves addicted to coffee. I mean, most people who drink coffee would say, yeah, I'm
Caffeine,
addicted to coffee, right?
whether it be coffee or Celsius or whatever caffeine.
Right, exactly. So you have uh, negative consequences might be like you're jittery or you get headaches if you don't right drink it, and you have you're dependent on it. Like I'm cranky until I get my coffee, right? But it doesn't usually progress beyond a few cups a day, right? Sometimes it does, but like meaning that almost nobody goes to treatment for caffeine addiction. Almost
Okay.
nobody, right?
Did you just
And a
hear that
lot.
news or you didn't hear it?
I did. You making me a smoothie? What are you doing?
No, I have a little thingy that I put my phone on, and I don't know what's going on with it. It's being really annoying. So you're just gonna have to go here. It's this thingy that like you clip it to the window and then it whatever. Okay, back to your addiction.
Not that cool. I'm not that cool.
Or
Right.
just show up.
So it progresses, right? And this we see a lot with porn addiction. I know I'm going quickly here because I want to just bang this out. Uh, we see this a lot with porn addiction, where the intensity, the frequency, the duration, it increases over time, right? So
Mhm.
if somebody is full blown addiction with pornography, usually they're finding that it's cutting into areas of their life. It's more like the material that they're watching is usually more intense because you need to increase the excitement, right? And the frequency
Okay,
raises, right? So
so
yeah,
now you know what my I know what everyone's thinking right now. Okay, so my wife's in. So again, we work within the not you don't specifically. I very specifically. Most of the people in this live are very likely Orthodox Jews who keep Taras Mishpacha. Okay, so what about the wives who are like, okay, my husband can't touch me 2 weeks out of the month. We're saying on the average situation. Obviously,
yeah.
everyone has their own things. Potentially, my husband cannot touch me 2 weeks out of the month, and during those 2 weeks, he's masturbating 3 times a week. Is that bad?
Okay, so where there's a really fuzzy line here is
I
when it
called you
comes
because
to
of the fuzzy line, by the way.
what?
I called you because of the fuzzy line. I don't have the
Yes,
answers.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's where we're at, right? When you mix religion into it, right? And it's not. I'm not saying mix religion like it shouldn't be a part of it, but there's it gets really gray, right? Because halachically speaking, there is actually more nuance to this whole topic than people think about. And when I say that, I don't mean that just like certain situations could get a heter. I work with a lot of men, and a lot of men come in with their kind of preconceived notion about porn and masturbation, which is, first of all, not accurately represented in any of the Torah, like at
Right.
all. Meaning, it's just kind of like this, like scary devil kind of idea.
Right.
Or I would even simplify that as many of my clients will come in and they will say, "I know I should stop," and I will say, "Why?" And they'll say, "Because it's wrong." And I'm like, "That's not an answer."
Right. By the
Right?
way. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So what I'm pushing for there is some clarity on how is this affecting your life, and that's what I always come back to. How is this affecting your life? Now you could say it's affecting me religiously, but then I also have some discussions to have with you about what does that actually mean. I mean, and I'm not a religious authority at all, but my
Neither am I,
question,
by the way, in case anyone's wondering. Not a
right?
religious
And I
authority.
think you've made that clear in your
I know.
NGL
I'm pretty sure I
stuff.
pulled everyone.
I
I'm
think at
not a
one
rabbi. Please ask your own.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not a religious person at all, but I can parse out when it's coming from a rational religious approach, or if it's coming from boogeyman scary, it's usser and I'm terrible if I do it kind of thinking. And I help people parse that out. Sometimes people are very clear on how it's affecting their religious life, and it makes perfect sense after some work. Sometimes people are so twisted up in what does it mean that it's affecting my religious life, that they think like God hates me until I go for like 3 weeks without doing it, right?
Which,
Or
yeah.
like
Like if I learn more Torah, then I can
yes,
masturbate more because
yes.
it evens itself out. Right.
Exactly. And I call those acts of undoing, where you're trying to undo what you did by doing something like positive in a different category, right? So
Mhm.
like somebody watched porn earlier in the day and then they give a bunch of tzedakah like later in the afternoon. I'm like, it's great that you're giving tzedakah. Like, don't get me wrong.
Doesn't take away. Right.
It doesn't, there's no connection between the two. There's only a connection when you think this made me bad and then this makes me good, right? And so this made me bad is where we need to like ask some of those questions in terms of like religion and the belief system that you have, or the view you have of religion. I'm not trying to make anybody, less religious, and I many times I encourage people like, yeah, that one works. That one speaks to you, that comes from you, and I hear it. I hear how it's not just a shame like representation of religion through the religion. So yeah, let's use that one as a motivation, or answering the question of like, how is this affecting your life, because it's upsetting me religiously. Yeah.
Okay, so but would you say, so like just to circle back, would
Yep.
you say that if a guy is doing that, meaning he does not have access to his wife, so he's making the choice to masturbate, I'm going to keep it at masturbation. We're not going to go crazy and talk about like guys going to prostitutes. Like that's next level, guys. We're not talking about that.
well
That's
well but I think there's an important distinction between masturbating and then masturbating with porn.
true. That is true. Okay,
That
so
I think is important in this conversation. Keep going.
okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna say both. So let's say just masturbating, not masturbating to porn. They don't have access to their wife. Is that considered an addiction? And they're only doing it when they don't have access to their wife.
Right. So the addiction is not going to be defined by, the spouse, right? That's not how it
No, I'm
works.
not talking
Yeah.
about. I'm just saying access, meaning they don't. You know what I'm saying, Judah? You're not
No, no, no.
You're
I'm, I'm speaking to the idea of the. Hang on a second. Let me get my wig, and then and then
okay, fine. But you know
you'll
what I'm
speak to that.
saying? Like,
No, but I'm
because
speaking to the
guys use
conversation.
this as an excuse. Like, what
I
do you
I
mean?
I get it. I get it.
Guys have needs, la la la, and it's not
I,
fair because it's okay for women.
not fair, not Schmidt. I don't give a
I know. I don't.
I don't.
Judah, talk nicely on my
Am
live.
I not allowed to curse on your live?
You
Because
can.
everything else is filth.
It's not filth. This is reality. You're horrible. First of all, you built a career off filth. Okay, so relax. Number one.
Okay, I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna curse on your live. If anybody
Please
wants to
don't.
hear the cursing version, 9 p.m. after hours, I'll say the whole thing over again
And
with the curse
he'll
words.
add
Yeah,
some. He'll add some
yeah.
more. Okay, fine.
We were doing so good. We were so focused, and then I don't know what
Okay,
happened.
bottom line.
Yeah, no. I'm
Respect.
speaking. I'm speaking to the conversation of my spouse. Okay, we're gonna go with
No,
the
I'm not
woman.
saying it's dependent on the spouse. You're right. I'm not saying that because again, no. Okay, okay. According to Jewish law, you are only supposed to. Well, no, it's actually not true because there's heterim and whatever. But I'm saying like in plain circumstances, whatever, without heterim, needing heterim, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're supposed to be doing. Intercourse
Mm-hmm.
with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. When you don't have access during those 2 weeks, or it could be more, meaning someone just had a baby, it would be longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your husband or the wife, well, the wife doesn't really matter in this context because it's not a halachic issue. If the husband is using that, like, what do you mean? Like, you call me masturbating? Okay, we can't have sex. What do you want me to do? Like, guys have needs. Is that like gaslighty, or is that considered an like? What do you think?
Okay, so again, the Torah doesn't diagnose addiction, and
Right.
also, right, the concept of addiction is not it's not as important as people think. Meaning, I always say, I ask you the question, how is this behavior affecting your life? And that's what we need to ask. So someone will
I feel
say,
bad. I feel bad I'm doing it because I know I'm not supposed to, but Hashem knows it's a taiva for men, which by the way, whatever on that, because it could be a taiva for women too.
yeah,
And
but it's not
it's
fair.
not allowed.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
not
right,
allowed. It's not allowed.
right, right.
So it's a
So, but I
taiva.
feel that, yeah.
Hashem knows, so he should be okay. Like, so I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, let's talk like real, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
type of, so what do you
When
say to these type of people?
when someone's
It
main
affects my
reason.
life because I have Jewish guilt. There we go.
Okay, so that needs to be picked apart, because just the feeling of feeling bad doesn't mean that it's not attached to the behavior in an accurate way. I mean, okay, let me put it like this, right? Is if growing up, every time you had any sugar, you got smacked across the face. So
Hmm.
then when you have sugar, when you're older, you're like, it must be bad for me because I feel bad every single time, right?
Hmm.
So that's a very extreme example, but like that's what a lot of people actually are going through. Now, I'm not one of those people that then goes to the other extreme where I'm like, everybody needs to accept you and every single thing that you do because you have a little bit of shame and everybody has to like suck it up because
Who are you
too bad.
impersonating?
I'm
It's not me.
impersonating a whole group of people.
Okay, you're not impersonating me because I don't talk like that. But yeah, okay.
Right? No, but meaning I'm not one of those people. Meaning if you're seeking help in this area, it doesn't have to be therapy, it could be anything. With a rabbi, in a group, whatever, you're seeking help in this area. There's a reason why you're coming, right? Now, the reason could be I feel bad. And that feeling bad could be that it's a holdover from stuff that you learned or stuff that you thought, right? So a lot of men think that it's the worst thing in the world. The reason why they think it's the worst thing in the world is because they never spoke to anyone about it. No one ever spoke to them about it when they were younger. So they just assumed that it's this evil, disgusting thing that only Goyish people do, right? And that's what they assumed when they were younger. I'm not saying they consciously think that now. Maybe it's evolved, but a lot of people, I can't tell you how many men I've worked with who told me that when they were 12 or 13, the first time that they masturbated, they thought they invented it. I'm telling you, that's like, no, but they
Right.
thought
No.
not in a way of like
Oh, they
you know
didn't understand what was happening. Correct. Yeah.
and then but then they thought that they were so bad they were like, I'm doing something bad because I've heard that it's bad, but I can't talk to anyone. And the secret, it grows in secrecy. Shame grows in secrecy, right? So there's so many times where somebody says, well, the reason why I'm seeking help is because I feel bad. And I want to know why they feel bad. Now, there could be more reasons, more parts within their feeling bad. I'm being dishonest. I'm doing it in a way that crosses my values. I'm lying. I don't know, whatever. Like, people who have spent hours on it, people who have watched things online that they were like, hey, I don't really want to watch things like that, but I'm kind of drawn to it. I feel bad, right?
Mhm. Yeah, right. You know what I'm thinking about? That time you told me that story about that guy who died of masturbation.
Oh, that was on TV. Yeah,
I
right.
can't. Oh my gosh, guys, we'll talk about that a
Thousand
different
Ways to
time.
Die. That was the show. He had a video library in his basement, and he got dehydrated and disoriented. They found
It's
him dead.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, where do you? I'm going to assume you have heard about the concept of sex addiction in women. I know people
Yes.
might be
Yes.
shocked by this concept. Um, what are the different? What do you see? I don't even know clinically. I'm just wondering what you see in general of the differences between how sex addiction manifests in men versus women.
So, in some ways, there aren't a lot of differences. The only I would say just it's much more common in men. It
Hmm.
kind of fits in more to the male, the male sexual development and experience to then for it to be compulsive in that way. But then the women get overlooked as a population that is struggling with this and needs help. Like it's like porn today is wild. It's fentanyl. It's like it's so
Hmm.
extreme, and it's the access is so it's tremendous. Like so.
Oh, I want to make
Uh,
sure we touch on difference between masturbating with no porn versus masturbating with porn. But finish what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying.
So meaning that once somebody is kind of like, let's say they're using porn in a way that it doesn't align with their values and is creating some negative consequences in their personal life,
Well,
right? So
when would
yeah,
porn align with your values?
somebody, let's say, first of all, somebody varying religious levels, right? Some people say, like, as a
I'm
religious
talking even
person,
Goyim. How would it like? I'm not even talking about necessarily
I don't
Jews.
know, let's say somebody watches
Like, is
porn once every 2 weeks.
heterosexual porn aligned with your value? Like, that's what you mean by
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Let's say somebody watches porn every few weeks, and their spouse is theoretically okay with it. Like, they both watch porn when, like, every
Oh, by
once
the
in a
way, that's
while.
another thing. Somebody actually asked me this yesterday.
Yeah, watching
If I'm a
together.
woman, what? No, watching together. I mean, yes, I've gotten that question before. I've asked
Yeah.
the Shiloh. The answer is no. But my question is, I've even asked that rabbi that we both know that we don't say his name. I've even asked him. People have asked me if I record myself having sex, is that considered porn? Can I then watch that with my spouse? Still no, and bad idea, everyone.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting, bad idea. One second, I had a point. What did you say before that?
You were saying women, negative consequences, feeling bad. Oh, watching couples like having like, okay, they both kind of are okay with it, and every once in a while I watch, and every once in a while you watch, and like you know
Okay, I don't remember what my question
it's
was.
not
Keep going.
right.
Yeah.
So meaning that there are some people that it doesn't really cross a value for them. You might argue that porn is inherently like something that doesn't add to your life, right? Like something that maybe you might want to replace with something else. Watching 2 hours of porn, you might be better spending your time doing 2 hours of something else. But if you can say, if you literally have the negative consequences are really at a minimum, it kind of, for some people, it could be like a cup of coffee where it's like, sure, it might give me a headache later when it wears off, but it's not, I'm not going to rehab for this,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So that's theoretically, but in terms of like the negative consequences that it causes in people's lives, it's a very individualized thing where we have to ask the question to this person and understand, how is this affecting your life, not based on what we would assume, like, oh, only married people shouldn't watch porn. That's not true. I worked with a lot of single people who are struggling with watching porn. Now, a lot of times those people think, well, if I watch porn now, how am I ever going to get married? Because this means that I'm
Well,
not
that's
ready to
another
get
thing.
married,
How is it
right?
gonna? So we can get into this when you finish sentence. But how do you
Yeah.
feel porn? I don't even know if we want to say addiction, but how do we feel how porn or something of this nature can affect your relationships? I get that question like 3 times a day. How can my previous pornography addiction? Everyone calls themselves an addict. This is the problem. Like they
Yeah.
say porn addiction. I have no idea if
No.
it's actually an addiction, but
No.
let's say porn watching or masturbation or whatever it is, male, female. I don't care what gender you are. um, how can that potentially affect my relationships? And people get pissed when I answer this. I'm like, how can it affect your relationships when you stop feeling the need to rely on your partner for sex?
Yeah. Yeah.
When
That's
you
definitely
start when you start using a tiny robot for sex instead of your spouse, that
right.
is a problem. Because
Right.
yeah, so people get very upset about that. So I'm question. I
I don't
have
know. They asked the question, why are they upset about getting the
dude.
answer? They didn't want to hear the answer.
Right, right. But I'm saying, are there other answers that maybe I didn't think of that make
Sure,
more
sure.
sense?
The number one most impactful thing that this does to on marriages, like how it impacts damages marriages, let's put it like that, is lying. I've seen that countless times, that a wife comes in and says, I get that he was watching porn, but like the lying and the gaslighting has made it impossible for me to trust him ever again, and I can't even see him in the same light. I don't even know who I'm married to anymore. Those are more extreme examples, and I've had people come in and say those lines, but it wasn't like I'm like, okay, but it didn't get to that. Like, I will invalidate their feelings. Somebody wants to attack me on that. Like, I will invalidate someone's feelings. But many times when it is more severe, that is the thing. That is the thing that I hear more often than not. So like, obviously, if a guy is struggling with something, they're gonna have, they're not just gonna come home and say, "Honey, I'm home. I watched porn today." Like,
Right. I'm listening to you,
but
by the way. I'm just somebody asked a question. Can you see the
yeah,
questions? You can't see them, right?
it's kind of like truncated. Porn addiction happens when singles are not sexually active and lonely. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so but the question here is, right, porn addiction happens with singles when they're not sexually active and they're lonely in general, and it might numb out their craving for intimacy, yet the person is lacking personal connection. This is a real struggle. It's a real challenge for people who are single and they want to be with somebody. It's a real challenge. On the one hand, I would never say, oh, well, you're just, what you're doing is like, it's making it that you can't get married or you can't get close to somebody. I wouldn't say that as an absolute fact. Could it interfere with it? Sure. Is it going to be something that is different in your life versus someone who's married? Sure, all the time. Meaning there's a lot of nuance to it, but this is the reason why single people oftentimes will come to me and to other people looking for help, is because they're like, I kind of feel like I have this out where, like, when I'm feeling lonely, instead of doing something to make myself improve my situation, I kind of can like feel a sense of connection for a minute there, but then it feels worse afterwards, and then I feel like I'm further away from connection
From
with another
everything, right?
person.
I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that women don't fully understand because, again, I think that this is like a Orthodox Jewish, like, because it's so bad thing. Like, that's exactly what you're saying. Like, for guys, it's that 1 minute of sexual gratification and then they feel like crap. It's not fun. Like, they would much rather be with a partner and emotionally connect with another human as
Yes.
opposed to Matt. Well, sometimes I've definitely found that guys, I'll be honest with you, and you know what, Judah, you can come at me for it. It's fine. Sometimes guys are lazy and they don't want to deal with another. They don't want to deal with a partner, so they just want to figure it out themselves and be done.
Oh, I don't have any reason to come at you on that. I
Yeah,
challenge people on that all the time. Sure.
right. They're just lazy, so they're like, yeah, cool, I can get it done in five, like whatever, under a certain amount of minutes by myself and be done. And
Well,
great.
and there's a complicated piece to that laziness, right? Because sometimes people, uh, when we're treating an addiction, like we're saying, like, hey, this is something which needs ongoing treatment, and it's like a long,
Mhm.
we do have to look at the person's ability to emotionally connect to other people,
Mhm.
because for a lot of people there was a deficiency from when they were younger for whatever reason, and then their sense of connection came through this low risk, high reward, so to speak, kind of interaction
Mhm.
with not a real person, right? Porn videos don't reject you. Porn videos don't say I'm not in the mood, right? And so if someone's feeling lonely and this is a replacement for loneliness, then they never really
Which,
developed.
just for clarity, Judah, that can happen in both directions. That can
Yes,
happen, the rejection. No, you're saying, of course, but I feel like there are people on this live right now and in the world that don't realize that, by the way, women get rejected too, sexually.
sure.
There are times where guys say no. No, but I feel like people don't. You're making a face at me like this is crazy. No,
No,
people
not
really
this
think
is
that.
crazy, but I don't disagree with you. Find someone you
Society
disagree on.
says that women should be like these like emotional wallflowers and
Who
like la,
said
la,
that?
la. Society.
Oh, society. Oh, I can't curse, but F society. I don't know.
Stupid.
Like,
Stupid society. No, but I'm saying we have to change the dynamic. It's a problem, especially within the Orthodox Jewish community. Like, women aren't supposed to want it. You're supposed to be like a religious, modest, whatever. No,
This
you're
is why
allowed,
I don't do what you do, because that's your area.
right?
I do what I do, right? I
But you
help people
follow me
get.
closely enough that you see what I do.
Oh,
Hold
I'm
on.
saying, but I get where that's coming from, and uphill battle, and I
Okay.
wish you the best
Someone
on it.
just
Right? But
thank you. Thank you so much. I wish you
sure,
luck on your journey. Hold on.
sure.
Someone just asked if someone is lying about chronic masturbation. Well, I don't know how you identified chronic,
I
but
saw
if
that question.
somebody,
Yeah,
yeah, and well, I'm going to say it because you
yeah,
need people need to know the question. If somebody's lying about chronic masturbation and using it instead of being with their spouse, does that make it an addiction? This is a good one.
All right, so I have a lot of words that need to be defined in that sentence, right?
Chronic.
Chronic, A, masturbation. B, meaning is that masturbation with porn or without porn?
Okay.
Is it at inappropriate times? Is it inappropriate places? I don't know. I want to know more about what that means.
Oh, that's
And
another
then
thing, by the way. I've
and then yeah, and then the word addiction, like in this context, right? And I appreciate the question. In this context, I always follow
Someone
up
just
on
said
what.
that no one believes what I just said anymore. I just have to throw that. You're wrong. I apologize. A lot of people still have the dynamic, unfortunately, that women don't want sex as much as guys do. Just
Hold on,
saying.
could you guys fight about this on the NGLs later when get Lauren
No,
on here
don't fight
later?
with me on the NGLs. Fight with me in my DMs. Thank you. At least show your face. Okay, good.
Um, wait, what is the significance of the word addiction in this conversation? Because unfortunately, there are many times where I would say spouses and individuals, they want it to be considered an addiction. Why? Well, I think sometimes, and I'm not saying this to you, the woman who posted the question, but sometimes people want it to be an addiction so they could go, see, you have problems and you need help. Right. And that's problematic within a couple. And then that's when I'll be like, yo, you guys need to go see a couples therapist, because I don't do couples therapy because it's a nightmare and I hate every second of it and I never want to do it ever again.
I just love it.
Yeah, no, not interested.
I love when
Um,
two people are fighting. It's great.
I can't. What's the purpose? What's the function of the word addiction? People for themselves.
You got a phone call. I can't hear you.
What the
There
hell?
we go. People for themselves. Shh.
People for themselves will want the word addiction there because I think it gives them a sense of, okay, I'm dealing with this problem. Maybe it gives them a sense of like, my behavior has a disorder to it, right?
Mhm.
There's an issue
I
that, I
find
have
that
some.
so much, by the way, in
Mhm.
dealing with couples, which I'm sure you've seen that one spouse like needs to diagnose the other
Yeah.
spouse. Like
Yeah.
they need to be sick, some kind of sick, in order for me to accept the behavior, whether it be addiction, whether it be mental health related, whether it be anything. And it's like, well, no, like calm down. Like no one has to be sick. Sometimes people have nuance and we have to, yeah, there is a certain space where you do have to accept behavior from your partner. But yeah.
And the other way around too is I've had many men that I've worked with that I called them out on using their addiction to describe, to kind of like invalidate their spouse's feelings, because they're like, well, I have an addiction.
Right.
And
The
I'm like,
opposite.
yo, dude, you can't do that. Like, that's what got you into this mess in the first place. Your twisted thinking. So like,
I think that should be with anything though. Like, what do you mean? Like, well, I don't want to say bipolar. That's very, that's like very medical, but like to me, it's pretty medical. I mean, it's mental health, but you know what I mean by that. Oh, I have depression. Of course, like I'm like, I don't have to get out of bed today. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have to, I'm not, guys, I'm not knocking depression. I get it. Okay. Just for clarity, but just to like outside the realm of sex and porn, like also, you know what I'm saying?
sure.
You shouldn't use your issue as an excuse, which sounds really mean, but it's the
No,
truth.
well, yeah, and there's nuance to it, because there's sometimes with the same person that I'm like, I'm referring to, where I call them out on it, there will be a point where they're saying the same words but with a different connection to it, which will be like in a conversation one-on-one with me without their spouse there, understanding that they are not defined by their addiction, so they have it as a part, right? Like an IFS kind of thing, where it's like I have a part of me that is addiction, and that is not defining of my entire being, which is work on the shame, right? But then I warn them a lot. I warn people a lot of time. I'm like, don't go home and tell your wife that it was just your addiction. Don't you dare do it. And if you quote me and say, Dr. Judah said, I'm done with you.
I'm out. We're out. I'm out. Hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
So meaning the word addiction, right? So going back to that question, chronic masturbation. What is chronic masturbation? Is there lying? Is there porn? What
No,
is
there
the
is lying.
significance
She
of the
said
word?
lying. She said lying.
Right. So I'm pushing for nuance here, okay? So
Mhm.
understand that
No,
everything
I'm
that
just
I
saying. She
say,
said lying. I
I know.
understand.
Hold on, hold on, because this is where there's a tremendous amount of nuance, and I cannot stress that enough. All right, if there's masturbation with no porn, and I don't know what chronic means, okay? So let's say that it's one time, okay? Is it the spouse's business, and is it hurtful to the spouse? All right. Now, there's a lot of answers to that question, but there's some times where people immediately jump to it's automatically not harmful or it automatically is harmful. And there are times where I've told people, I said, I'm sorry, but you are invading the other person's privacy.
Right. I get that a lot. Also, people are
You're
going to
invading their privacy. You want to know
looking
because
through your
this is
spouse's phone.
this is
Also,
where it gets, right? Spouse's phone, but like what about spouses asking, what do you think about when you masturbate?
it's so weird.
Right. So, but I've had a lot of men sitting in my office saying, I
What do I
feel
say?
guilty that I thought about this thing while I was masturbating. Right. And there was no porn and there was no other lies going on.
But what if
Right.
it is what? Because the question also was okay. Let's take out the chronic part. My question is, what if they are saying like, "Yep, I'm using it as a replacement for you because I don't want to deal with you."
I mean,
That's a different issue. It's a couples
that's a
issue,
different issue. Yeah.
not an
That's a
addiction issue.
serious issue. Right. That's a serious issue. But like because okay, let's even take masturbation out of it, right?
Mhm.
It can get to extremes, which I've worked with, where spouses are demanding, wives are demanding of their husband that they tell them every single person that they found attractive at shul, right? And then after a
Yeah, but
Shabbos meal, they say, "What did you think of what's her name's dress today?"
so interesting because I don't know. Maybe because I'm old, I have no interest. Is that like ridiculous? I'm just old. I don't know. Maybe I just like my husband. I don't know. But I
It's,
have.
I think it's the old thing, but whatever. I'm not.
Right. It's the advanced maternal age. That's just what the advanced
Right. So,
maternal
but meaning
age.
that that there's boundaries. There are boundaries, and just
Right.
because something is not allowed according to halacha, so to speak, right? Like it doesn't mean that the other person has a right to to just blow past those boundaries. And honestly, I work with a lot of men who are they're kind of like weak in this area where they feel like they need to disclose every single thing that they ever thought to their spouse,
Which,
and their
by the
spouse is
way,
pressuring it.
I've seen
It's
this
no good.
also. It's horrible. No, I've seen this also, and it becomes like an OCD, like almost like
Yep.
rumination thing where and then it like breaks the other partner. They're like,
Yep.
I don't need to hear that you looked at someone in shul. Like,
Yes,
I don't
and
need
right,
that.
and it ends up harming the other partner and becomes about the person sharing it, me wanting to feel better. I've
Right.
many times I've said, Do you want to share that because you care about your wife, or do you want to share that because it's
You
killing you?"
need to get it off your
Yeah,
chest. Exactly.
yeah,
It's an
it's
OCD.
it's
Yeah.
not fair. You're using your wife. You're using your wife to feel better. I saw a clip recently, like one of these like inspirational like BS clips of, somebody talking about marriage with the music underneath it, and forgive me whoever it was, but like
As
I'm
long as it
sorry.
wasn't me, go for it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Someone's gonna look it up and then say this is who you're talking about, and
And then Lauren Hofstadter's going to post it, and then we're going to
and
tag them, and
I'm
we'll
sure
all.
they're a good person, and I won't get into any stupid internet war with them because those are a waste of time. But they said the point of the video was you and your spouse should tell each other everything, every
Mm-mm.
single
This came
thing.
up. Did you not see? It came up today. Came up today on my NGL. Someone asked me this morning. A woman. She identified as a woman. I have a close friend who shared something really personal with me and told me I cannot tell anyone. Can I tell my husband we tell each other everything? No way. Girl code. Are
No,
you kidding me? That makes
no,
you a terrible person and a horrible
yeah,
friend.
yeah. Yeah,
What does
100%.
that mean?
100%. Yeah, so like I don't care like what your expectations are of the other person sharing it back and forth. I don't care if you think that you're standing on religious moral high ground. There is such a thing as boundaries. Now, you can debate where those boundaries are, and I will personally I want to hear people and understand why there is a need for boundaries being different in different situations, because there are many times where the lying has gotten so bad that the spouse demanding certain things is totally reasonable because they can't function. So it's
Right.
like it's right to a certain degree, but then again, right, like it's important to ask the spouse, and anybody who's in long-term recovery for this stuff as a spouse will know that there are certain behaviors that you want to do because you think it's going to help, but you realize that you're just doing it to make yourself feel better, but it's also sucking the life out of you, right? So like, when I work with spouses and I'm like, do you exercise, right? And they're like, I don't have time. But then also, I'm compulsively checking his phone for 2 hours, 3 hours every single night while he's sleeping, and I'm
Right.
exhausted in the morning. I'm like, is that helping you? Because as soon as you stop checking his phone, he might have gotten a message right then, and now, right? So like,
Yeah.
it never ends, right? So
Yeah.
there is, it's understanding where it's coming from and appreciating that it's about wanting to feel better. And what's ultimately going to make you feel better is having firm boundaries and living your life, not having your life become your boundaries.
I hear. That is true. You are right. I have another question. You ready?
Yeah.
We have 15 minutes, or not even 13 minutes. We're going to have to do a part two. Sorry, guys. Judah was late. What are some warning signs as a partner that you might notice um, that this is getting out of control? Like my spouse is struggling.
Struggling with like
Addiction.
a porn
Addiction.
issue.
Yeah, porn issue or a sex issue, or meaning we can even go into like, listen, we both have clients that like are, we're not talking about masturbation. We're talking about um big time. Oh, we never got into the essay conversation. We're gonna have to save that for a different one. We don't have enough time. Um, I'm talking about not just masturbation, which there are definitely people that feel it falls under my umbrella of betrayal. I don't just
Right.
okay.
Yes.
We can we
Yes.
can we can we can negotiate that a different time. But I'm
But it's
talking about
real. It's very real. Yes.
right. I'm talking about people that are doing more than just masturbation. What are some of the red flags that you've noticed clinically that like, maybe I should contact a therapist or get my spouse into rehab or figure it out and help them in the way that,
Right. So it's a little bit tough, right? Because in today's social media world, there's no real nuance, and somebody somewhere has a post up saying, "Here's 10 red flags that your husband is da 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 da," right? And then the
right.
person goes home and they say, "Aha! I see 9 out of the 10 red flags." So, right?
Well, no, I'm saying when do you think it's time to make a call and be like, hey, we need to find a therapist because I think you have an issue. And again, not trying to like again, I'm not talking about these like people that are like, you have an issue, let's go. No,
Right.
like genuinely out of care for their partner. Let's hope that some of those people exist. Actually, I might be talking about a unicorn, but honestly, but genuinely out of care for their partner and just like, wait, like something feels off. Like, when do you actually take, like, when is it time to like take the steps to do something?
Okay,
Whole
so
doctor office. What do we
right.
do?
This can't be true in every single situation, but a good amount of the time. Did you ask your spouse about what you observed before you started making phone calls? Meaning you're like, "Hey, something's
What if
off."
they're scared? What if they're scared?
So maybe they need to call somebody and get through the scaredness. But I can tell you that this is anecdotal. This is not like based off of research, and this has happened a
No,
good
I'm
amount
saying
of
right.
times.
Right. I would say
But I will tell you that I've worked with couples, Jewish and non-Jewish, that had 20, 30 years of porn watching and betrayal, right? And when it all came out, when it was completely out in the open, the wife then starts saying about things that she noticed in the past. She's like, I knew something was up because he would be up in the middle of the night on his phone, and when I knocked on the door, I don't, whatever, right? And I'm
Mhm.
like, dude, that was 13 years ago.
Right.
So what happened there?
By the way, I've had couples with that where they're, let's say, I don't even want to get into it, but like, let's say they're married for 25 years. Their husband went for happy endings in the beginning of their marriage.
Yeah, right,
But they come to me, let's say years 1 through 7, the guy went for happy endings. They're coming to me at year 25,
right,
and the wife is still so broken over it
yeah,
that he betrayed her. And again, it's not even necessarily about the happy endings. It's about the betrayal. It's about the
right.
lying.
It's about the
That's the
betrayal,
bottom
but
line is it's
also
lying.
I might not challenge, but like I understand the complexity of the whole issue when I hear that there were some pretty apparent red flags that were not addressed at all. Now, if somebody says I was too scared to bring it up, then you have to talk to someone else about it. You got to
Right.
talk it through. You got like, meaning being too scared to do something doesn't mean that therefore you should do nothing, right? So I asked the question, was it brought up with a spouse? Because sometimes I'll help people kind of get words together for situations like this, which are not accusatory, because meaning you're worried that it's something bad, but you don't know for sure, and you don't want to come off as accusatory. So sometimes you just need help putting words together. Like, hey, I noticed this thing.
Right.
Is there more to it, right? Or is there more? Is there more going on? Like asking questions like that without the assumption that it is already the worst case scenario, but it's got to be talked about. Like if it's happening at the beginning, for a bunch of years on and off, and then one day, you come across like the search history, and it's like, this is unavoidable. The computer's open and it's unavoidable, and now it's out in the open, and now we're dealing in treatment and things like that. I'm like, yo, like we could have dealt with this earlier, but
Whatever. Hindsight's 2020. Okay, we're
no.
gonna
But what I'm
close.
saying with the red
Yeah, go ahead.
flags is, like, if you're seeing things, right? So like you're gonna have to figure out some way to go about it. That's what I'm saying. It's because too many
Right.
times it's kind of
Meaning
ignored.
just
Yeah.
you have to like get the support you need, whether it be through right therapy, whoever it is. Meaning, right. Agreed. Okay, we're gonna close with this. Somebody commented on this, and then I want you to comment, and then we're gonna close because we have to. But I want to do this again because
Yeah.
we need it. We need to know more about this.
I got
Okay.
nothing to do.
So, stop saying that. You're making it sound like you don't have a job. Um. Okay, now there's two questions, but the second one I don't know if we're gonna get to. So you can DM Judah directly. He's all over my page. Okay. I believe addiction though does not have anything to do with the spouse. It is a problem from the individual. What
Is
do
there
you
a
think about
question?
that? What do you
Is
think
there
about that?
what do I think?
Can pornography addiction or masturbation, is masturbation addiction a thing? I feel like it's whatever. Can these types of things happen to an individual alone, or could it also happen as a result of their spouse?
I don't think it happens as a result of the spouse.
Why? If their wife is, if one partner is withholding sex, why can't that be a thing?
Well, I mean, withholding, you're talking about very extreme situations,
No, I'm
meaning
not. No, I'm not. That's pretty typical in what in my line of work, that one spouse will withhold sex, whether it be the guy or the woman, for whatever
I think
reason.
I'm okay, right. Just in the interest of time, I think I'm taking the word addiction somewhat literal here, where it's like, if there's an addiction, I don't think that it just started within the last like year and a half. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying, right? If somebody is watching porn, right? If their wife is withholding sex and they started watching porn, right? But they're not really meeting the criteria for addiction. So then, like, okay, that, I hear how that's linked together. What I think in the question, the way I heard it was like, I mean, I could be
Meaning
understanding it wrong, but
addiction would only happen within, meaning this, not the spouse can't be blamed. I don't know. What were you going to say? You throw
yeah,
out
no,
some.
it's that, like, a lot of times when we're talking about like addiction in the sense of like, this is an issue that requires intensive treatment and intensive support and all that kind of stuff. Majority of the time it existed before the spouse.
Right. Even if
Majority of
it
the time
wasn't necessarily as bad before.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there could be a lot of reasons why it increased, and it not just have to do with the spouse. The spouse withholding sex and then the person going to watch porn as a release is different. But I don't blame. I never let my guys blame their wife for their behavior. I'm like, talk about the history, dude. You were doing this when you were 16, and I'm not shaming you for that, but I'm just saying, like, well before your wife existed. I mean, she existed, hopefully, but well before your wife existed in your life, you felt, your words were that you felt out of control,
Right.
right? And that you missed major opportunities in your life, and that you were socially just isolated, right? That's a problem she didn't create for you. Oh, 100%. I won't let that. I never let that go.
Okay. Now I have to go, and you don't. But I really think that someone asked what are the solutions to prevent or fix this early. I think you should create a post about that, because I can't talk about that right now. But we will do a part two on this because we need more clarity, etc. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you got the questions answered that you needed to get answered. You
We'll do
can
another one.
always, we will do
Yeah.
another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always DM Judah, because honestly, when I get questions like this, I literally just tag him and say, like, ask him, ask him,
Yeah.
ask him,
Yeah.
ask him. Because honestly, he's the expert in this space. I am not. I have my own mahalach. I had to throw it in. I had to throw it in. It had to come into the live. I have my own mahalach
Not a rest.
on what on how I feel about this type of stuff. But again, Judah, this was awesome, even though you were late.
Also, if anybody wants to congratulate me or Lauren privately for how much we focused and stayed on track this
And
time.
we were professional.
Please, yes, please send us direct congratulations because it will reinforce our behavior.
Not an NGL, a direct DM.
Direct. Yes, yes.
Okay, Judah.
Okay, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.